I'm
Hi,
Lin-Manuel
welcome to the
Miranda,
Nerds
and
of
you're
Color.
listening to Hard
Welcome
NOC
to
Life.
Hard NOC Life. I'm Dominic Ma,
I'm Britney Monet.
and Keith is off doing some parenting mission, I think. So how's it going today, Brittany?
Well, it's the
Pretty good. I
full
worked
color, you
6 days
see
in
me.
a row this
Hard
week,
knock
so
life,
this is
comic
like
movies and TV.
my only day off. But like I can,
Different
even though this is fun, I
perspectives,
consider this like
watching how you
work
screen it.
too because I'm always
It
like,
is
oh,
a
I
kind
gotta.
of work.
It is, but it's fun. So technically, it's my day off from like my other job, basically.
Yeah, right on. We
But yeah.
all have to maintain multiple gigs in this day and age. So, I mean, before we start talking, we'll probably talk about Dune quite a bit, but
Mhm.
I thought it deserved mention that this really bizarre and terrible thing happened in the film making industry this week, which you
Yes.
probably have heard of, which was that two people were injured. One person was killed on the set of this movie called Rust, starring Alec Baldwin. And without knowing the exact CSI details, basically Alec Baldwin shot off a gun and killed the cinematographer and wounded the director, which is something. It just deserves mention because we talk about movies and TV here all the time, and including some of the behind the scenes elements. It's worth saying that for the zillions of movies that you see with gunfights in them, this actually only happens once every 30 years or so. So in that sense, the system is working pretty good because you
It
have.
actually happened to I can't remember his name, but I don't know if it was a stunt double or an Australian actor, but theirs was a blank and they still died.
Fucking
So
awful.
yeah, there's been a lot of talk now about just like having guns on set and then not having any bullets, fake or whatever, nothing in them, and then just adding in the bullets and now like the gun flare and smoke
Yeah,
and all of that in post, just because of like there's no reason that this should be happening anymore on set.
yeah.
Like it's very tragic.
I mean, again, I'm spared myself the gruesome details of reading exactly what happens because I'm not going to do CSI from home or whatever. I don't know
Mhm.
exactly what happened, but it was just quite a thought, and of course, made me think of the another prominent incident, way back when
Mhm.
Brandon Lee was killed on the set of The Crow by a gun that was not supposed to be a hot gun, but somehow it was. And
Yeah,
then that
I've heard
movie came out
more
anyway,
about
and it was a significant movie. So there's
yeah,
that.
I've heard more about like the Brandon Lee situation, and they apparently had several meetings about like this gun is not supposed to be pointed at anyone or shot at anybody, and they every single cast and crew member has saw the gun, exactly which one, and not to use it, and yet someone used it and shot him. So I feel that was very intentional. Like hearing all of that, I think it was intentional, unfortunately. And I know that's not something people want to hear, but just hearing how many safety meetings they had for that and showed the gun and was like, no, don't use this one at all on anyone. And still it was like, I feel like someone intentionally shot and killed him on purpose. It wasn't an accident where, an unprofessional armor handed a gun to assistant director and the assistant director then hands the gun to Alec Baldwin and, doesn't know there's a live ammo in it and accidentally kills someone. Like what happened with Brandon, unfortunately I do think was intentional. And
Yeah, I'm
this
with that for
and
sure.
I don't like Alec
Yes.
Baldwin. I want to make this clear. Like I'm not trying to defend Alec Baldwin at all because I think some people has taken like a lot of us in the who either follow the industry or work in the industry or want to work in the industry is trying to like protect Alec, and it's like no, there wasn't a professional armor on set, and when you don't have a professional armor on set, you're more likely to have incidents where something like this can occur. And the production company, and Alec was actually one of the producers on this film, which makes it look kind of worse, but they went the cheap route and hired someone who was not a professional armor so that they could, pay less and all of that. And that's how, unfortunately, now they're in this situation.
Two parts of that. Yes, I'm kind of with you in that I always thought it was terribly sketchy, the Brandon Lee tragedy, especially considering his father also died very mysteriously, very bizarrely. And they were the two Chinese American movie stars, and you're gonna kill both of them in completely bizarre film and accidents, like not like normal kind of accidents. Anyway, but of course also totally separate things. Just recalls that.
Mhm.
And of course, it was particularly evocative because Crow was a superhero, comes back from the dead, and of course, and then they released the movie, and it was a very significant movie, I thought. But yeah, I mean, it was just a terrible moment. I mean, what was your like just initial reaction, like hearing about the thing
With Alex, because
just
I
this
think
week?
I was
Yeah.
a baby. Sorry when
Oh no, I don't
Brandon
mean
died.
I didn't mean about
Um,
the Crow.
but I
You had years
was
to process that one, for better or for
I
worse.
was I was very shocked just because, you would think that like people have been saying, especially after what happened to Brandon, that we wouldn't have issues with live ammo being on set anymore and, like just people being killed with guns on set. You don't think that would happen, but I think this all ties into the strike that's going on for those, in Hollywood. Is it IA? Is that what they're called?
IATSC, yeah.
Yes.
Supposedly they settled recently on an agreement that they
No,
kind of were okay with.
I think they did not.
Okay, well, we'll look it up. It's definitely in contention. Definitely, the technical workers and the crew union was
Yeah.
in negotiations and and on the verge of strike, definitely because of
I
these 7,000 streaming shows that they're being asked to make.
But it's not just that, it's that they have very horrible, like, working conditions, and that's part of why Ruby Rose left Batman, not just because, I know there's some other people just don't like her as a person, but she's also come out with, like, how terrible stuff was, but even the Smallville actors used to say, like, they used to film 18 to 20 hours a day,
Yeah,
and then just so you know, like, whoever is, like, the crew, they always stay longer. They usually
yeah,
get there before the cast gets there and they leave after. So if a cast member is on set for 18 to 20 hours, you could imagine that a crew member is on set for like, 22 to 24 hours. So, and then having short turnarounds, this happens both film and TV, where there's short turnarounds in between long days and they have to come, and sometimes they've worked 6 days in a row and then sometimes they have to work a seventh day. Like it's just a lot of putting people in, unsafe situations. And a lot of that is happening. And I heard that there was actually protests from crew members on the film of Rust before this incident even happened.
yeah.
So
Right.
there's just a lot of like, unfortunately, very horrible things surrounding this particular movie, which I feel bad because Jensen Ackles is in it
Hmm.
and he's, I like Jensen. I know there's some people who maybe not like him, but I love Jensen Ackles. And there was a video of him from like a few weeks, like a week or two ago before this incident, talking about like, oh, so like the armor was like trying to like show us how to shoot guns. And she asked me if I had any experience with everyone who's seen Supernatural knows that Jensen Ackles has experience with using guns on set.
Hmm.
And just the way he was talking about it was like she didn't really even know what she was like telling him what to shoot, and he like shot and she was like, "Oh, so you do have experience with guns." And like and it was just a really like it sounded
Hmm.
funny when you watch the video, but now in hindsight you're just like, "Okay, so the fact that an actor had more probably professional gun training on set than she has and she was the armor, that's not a good look."
Yeah.
Like it's just making it all much worse.
Yeah, no, that's very curious. Oh, and you mentioned the Batwoman scandal too. That had escaped my mind, but yes, that's also
Mhm.
significant. I mean, I'm gonna mention as a side note. I mean, these long workdays for a long time are part of the culture of Hollywood. Just sort of like
Mhm.
the culture of like you know old executive guys like Harvey Weinstein used to be the culture of Hollywood. So all these things, of course, these cultures are subject to change. I mean, the movie set is an interesting powder keg situation because there are a lot of people trying to work and trying to make nice and trying to get the movie made and trying to become big stars or whatever. And so sometimes within that, definitely things fall through the cracks and people take shortcuts, and there isn't necessarily a safety director who can overrule the director if he's just like, oh, I want to take this kind of dangerous shot, like with the train coming down the tracks or something. Shit
Mhm.
like that does happen in movies. It is not a perfectly safe environment. It should change, and that's, I guess, what the discussion is largely centered around. And of course, this kind of change will be hopefully motivated by the union, which is the best, organizing voice for labor and people who are below the line and aren't the producers or
Mhm.
the actors. But also, this is particularly terrible just because there's, you can't shoot the cinematographer. It's fucking terrible. This lady was like, if you look at her IMDb, she was like, this is definitely She's up and coming. This is probably her first movie with big American movie stars.
Yeah.
She's definitely on the way up. You know, she's a woman, and there aren't a ton of
Yes.
women cinematographers. There are some, but there aren't like a ton of them.
Yeah.
It's just really just breaks the heart. And of course, then the director, who's like the guy who wrote and, you know, the screenplay also, and
Yes.
apparently is a California Bay Area guy, also, you know, gets wounded on his own fucking movie. But anyway,
Her name is Galena Hutchins. Just
yeah.
in case no one knows her name or knows how to pronounce it, because I know it's spelled like Hay, something like that, but it's supposed to be pronounced Galena. I saw someone tweet that out who actually knew her. And
Yeah.
then Joe Sousa is the name of the director who is injured. I'm assuming he's gonna be okay, but they haven't released too much info on like how severely injured he was and
Yeah.
or you know all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Anyway, I guess since we don't know all the details, we won't spend all our time on this dark topic. We'll see. We'll see how this edits together. But anyway, I just wanted to have a moment to breathe with that because it's a serious thing.
Yeah.
But anyway, and of course, appreciation to the work of cinematographers who, by the way, if there's a dangerous shot to be taken on a movie set, this is just my experience. If there's a one that's a little bit dangerous, like a rock might fall on you or the train might come on the
Mm-hmm.
tracks, you know, the cinematographer will be the one who like jumps up to do it. You know, they're trying to make the movie. They're really trying to make the movie.
Yeah.
And so that it's that one of those perilous things when you're trying to do your job and also putting yourself sort of in the literal line of fire. Anyway, so God rest her soul. Moving on, the other big movie that came out this week was called Dune, much anticipated on HBO Max
Yes.
and also in theaters. So it's out now, and I think we've both seen it. Let's talk about Dune for a little bit.
Yeah. So I've watched it on HBO Max. I really, really deeply enjoyed the film. I haven't seen anything else. Denis Villeneuve, I think that's his name. I haven't seen anything else he's done. I know he did Blade Runner 2049.
He
I
did,
wanted to
yeah,
see
the
it,
Blade
but
Runner
I
sequel and Arrival were notable science fiction movies. He also did.
yeah, I wanted to see his Blade Runner, but I was like, I've never seen the original, so I don't want to watch like his sequel without seeing the original. So I just haven't had time to like watch the original and then watch his. And then I never saw The Arrival. It's one of those movies where like I'm gonna see it, and then I never got around to seeing it because I do watch other movies that are not Marvel movies. I want to make
Yeah.
that clear.
I have mixed feelings about Arrival. I'm just going to note real quick. That was the first movie I saw on the week that Trump got elected. It came out basically
Mm.
that week. It was 2016 something or whatever. So it was a weird time. So my, you know, my input of everything was colored at that time. But anyway, circling back. But now we're here, and Dune is now available to us. What were your impressions?
I genuinely really loved the movie a lot. I thought it was just very well shot. It's so beautiful. Like I like cinematography, and that was just it was breathtaking. I feel like even if you were someone who's like, okay, I don't like the movie. I've known some people have complained about this being a little bit shallow or something like that from what I've seen from other people, but come on,
I
this
do agree.
movie
It's shallow and beautiful.
but like I don't know, I thought it was just really well shot and I enjoyed it. It's kind of a little bit upsetting that most of the prominent, you know, people of color actors in this all unfortunately die. I'm sorry to spoil that for y'all.
Oh yeah, sorry. Well, spoilers. Two of the really
Spoilers.
dark-skinned people die,
Well,
and it's
not
not really necessary.
but
So,
it's like almost all of the prominent, even if they're maybe more on the lighter side, all of the prominent pretty much POC actors, except for one, pretty much dies.
yeah,
That's like, but and you know, if you've seen the original movie or have read the books, then you probably like, you know, then probably what is happening. I haven't read the books or seen the original movie, so I was very upset that certain people died in the movie because I was not
yeah,
expecting that. But
yeah. I'm pretty much with that. I mean, thought it was a beautiful movie, fine to watch at home. I just watched it at home. I don't care about this. Find the biggest screen you can. The biggest screen I could find was the TV at home, and it was great. It was a great movie to watch at home on a Friday afternoon. It's beautiful. Good job, Denis Villeneuve on making a great made-for-home movie. It looks beautiful. Good job. I'm sorry, I'm just a bit of an asshole about that thing. But yeah, spoiler alert. So basically the plot is, white boy dreams about a girl, and because he's the Messiah and he has to kill a few dark-skinned people so that he can ascend. Just boiling it down.
He technically doesn't kill them, but
he does not kill the doctor. She sacrifices herself so that he can get away.
Yeah,
and
but
she's clearly the one sacrificing herself so they can take the safe route out.
Yes, but I mean, I mean, like, he doesn't murder them. Let's put it that way. He doesn't murder them.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying he literally kills all the dark-skinned people. That'll happen in the second movie. And I'm just saying it like this because it didn't have to be like this. This is not my reading of Dune, the book, and it's not what I expect it to be, by the way. I'm going to get a little nerdy about the book because I read the book. And this is not because I'm being a purist about like, oh, it's not faithful book, blah, 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 blah. But the really great thing about reading Dune, the book, is it happens in like the year 10,000 or something. So your mind's eye gets to imagine, maybe, hopefully, it's this time that's so far whacked out in the future. The races have blended and probably people think about it a whole different way in theory. I mean, they don't talk a lot about race, except they say Fremen have blue eyes because they take the spice. But it's also, it's not just like a utopian forward motion thing. It's also a future where they've gone so far in the future, they've actually gone back, right? Like they're back to this feudal royal, houses of dukes and kings and stuff like that, which is weird. And they don't have robots anymore or AIs because they declared them all illegal after there was a big war. So just saying that, like, so if you're reading this, you get to, in your mind's eye, imagine this future that would be like far past what our current idea of race is. And then you get to the movie and you get to make some choices. And you get to have, a perfectly good lead actor, but pretty much the whitest of all white boys. Yes. And he's just dreaming of Zendaya constantly.
Yeah. Like, the whole movie is just he's having dreams of I don't know. I always say Zendaya. Is it Zendaya?
We're just really futzing up on the name state, but I think this was cool. But I mean, I always say Zendaya, but I don't know. Do you say Zendaya?
I say Zendaya, but one of us is right.
I don't know if there is a right on that level, but
probably is. Yeah, no, he literally, like you said, is dreaming over the whole entire movie.
Yeah, and just like the cinematography is so good. Like you're actually wondering, gosh, can they find 8 different angles of Chalamet and Zendaya looking great with their hair flowing in the desert? It's like, oh, they actually did. They shot wow, they really shot the shit out of them. They look wonderful, dreamy, idealized, even one would say exotic. She doesn't say anything in these dreams, she just shows up. And again, this doesn't have in the book. He has these very anxious fever dreams, worried about the prophecy that he's going to start a terrible bloody war. It's not like I dream about a girl that I'm going to be with someday. So I'm going to start a war, and I'm very serious and fucked up about it. And he has a scene at the end when he does confront that. But up till that point, if you cut out that scene, you'd be led to believe he's basically dreaming about this great brown girl that he's going to meet on the desert planet, and that will make everything all right. And so coupled with that, things like, he has to have a fight to the death with the dark-skinned guy at the end so he can ascend. And then this fact that they cut it off in the first half, so we all know what's going to happen in the second movie, which is that he ascends to be the Messiah. Anyway, there are a few things here that are just whack. And really made me upset by the time I'd finished this movie, which I started. Just like, oh, this is a wonderful science fiction movie to watch on a Friday afternoon. Anyway, am I just like, ranting weirdly, or what do you think?
No, because I mean, all of that is valid because it's very much like the white knight savior trope thingy in a way, or something like that, And like I tweeted about it that it lifts so much from Arabic and, Mina culture, or, Middle Eastern, North African cultures so much. And there's not really any, from what I know, there wasn't any Mina actors in it.
Yeah, and we should look this up, but yes, it borrows heavily from the culture of Arabic speaking places, Mina cultures, and it always has. It's always the book is always lifted from that stuff. I just really want to look at, or I just really want to ask someone if there are any actual languages from the region being spoken in there, because there's a weird thing that there's a little bit of Chinese spoken for a second, like for no real reason except to show off that Paul speaks some other languages and the doctor is Chinese. As far as I know, all the other languages are like made up science fiction languages.
Well, some of the words are actually Arabic. My dad is Muslim, and so he actually watched, because I just finished the last 30 minutes earlier today, because I started it yesterday, but I had to get ready for work, so I missed the last 30 minutes. So my mom finished it without me yesterday, and she loved it.
Oh, fascinating.
So then I was watching the last 30 minutes right now, and then my dad was like, wait, are they supposed to be like Arabic or something? Because, you know, he picked up some of the words that they were saying that are, you know, Arabic. And so he was able to like give literal like translations for some of the words. Like I know one word she says means the chosen one. Zendaya, she says a word at the end that's like, that actually means the chosen one. I can't remember the exact word translation. So yeah, they really definitely pick up a lot from Arabic speaking cultures and all of that.
No, yeah, and I want to qualify what I'm saying. Yes, there's definitely Arabic in Dune. There always has been in the book, tons of it. I was speaking of like the languages that they made up for the movie for people speaking in like whole sentences, like the Fremen language and stuff, which we haven't necessarily seen in movies before. Definitely the whole language of the technology and their titles for everything are completely just lifted from Arabic. And that's a known thing. And yes, I don't know. This is one of the things like I feel like it's kind of the thing where they trying to be inoffensive by erasure, which happens, you know, we talked about before, happens with Asian stuff all the time. Just like, oh, we don't want to have an offensive Asian character, just don't have one. So I think they were trying to skirt around all these contentious cultural issues by just minimizing their presence, which I think is a dick move.
Yeah, I really hope that like they're seeing all the criticism around, because most people I feel like actually genuinely have enjoyed this movie and think this movie is pretty epic and cool. But like I said, like I feel like for me, on a scale of like, you know, 1 to 10, I would probably, for me personally, I would give this movie an 8, just because I feel like it does, technically it is a very well done movie. It's beautiful. I think all the performances are really great. I think overall it's effective and does what it's supposed to do. I think it does it all right. But I feel like it's not perfect, just because there should be MENA representation in the film, and, you know, in the more prominent roles, and maybe even Paul could have been, you know, MENA as well. But like,
he absolutely could have, because it's 8,000 years in the future. That guy could look like anybody.
Yeah, and it just makes me think of, is his name actually, his name is Minna too, right? Minna Musaad, who played Aladdin in the live action movie.
Yeah, I'm not remembering that.
I think
name. He's good though.
He, like, regardless of what you feel about that Aladdin movie, I thought he was a perfectly well cast Aladdin, and I think he was fun. I'm just sad that most of the movie was not all that great, because he was great.
Yeah.
I really think he was great as Aladdin, and I know there's some people who probably don't feel that way, but I really do felt like he was great. And he talked about how, like, after he did Aladdin, doing this big Disney movie, which the movie made a lot of money.
Sure.
Regardless if you liked it or not, that movie made money.
Totally.
So for him to say, like, I haven't got any lead roles after that, like, it's really depressing, because one, he's a good looking kid. Yeah. I think he's actually my age, but, you know, he's really good looking. And he's also talented, and it's just like, and he's not being cast and stuff. Like, he probably easily could have played Paul and done a well job. And nothing against Timothy, because I think Timothy is generally one of like the few young white actors who are actually like, you know, I don't think, he's not my type. I don't know what it is about him. He looks like a ghost. Either. I think he's genuinely really talented, but like, at the same time, I was like, yeah, maybe, you know, Minna Musa could have played that role.
Yeah, he totally could have. Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned that, because remember, he was getting press on that. Yeah, like, the window did not quite open up. He was just the lead of a major Disney movie, which are guaranteed to make $1 zillion. Yeah, so you hadn't read the books or saw the old David Lynch movie or any of that? Like,
no.
Okay.
And
so could you follow the thing? Like, because it's a pretty weird story.
I was able to follow it, like... Yeah. And I think maybe because I watched so much, quote unquote, like science fiction and like, you know, fantasy stuff, that I was able to like follow the story. And it's another, you know, a hero of 1,000 faces, like type of template of a story. So it's easy to follow. Yeah. I feel. Like, you know, the whole, like, a hero with 1,000 faces thing, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And
so,
even just in the fact that it's almost exactly like Star Wars when you put it into a movie.
well, because they both follow the like, hero of 1,000 faces, like, thing.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Most
deserts.
movies do, like, the hero of 1,000 faces is basically, you know, your main character is either gets orphaned, or, like, only has one parent, or whatever, and then they are considered the chosen one, or the one to do something great, and they have to go on this journey, and then they usually have to go outside of their village or their home world or whatever, and then they have to go and become great at this thing and defeat the big evil. So, like Lord of the Rings, that's another one. Frodo, Harry Potter, like, so many people. That's why it's called the hero of 1,000 faces, because it's the same hero, quote unquote, but just put in different, like, dressing, you know what I mean?
Right. And because the story is so familiar and we've seen it in different ways, that's why I guess it particularly struck me that this was, you know, on paper, this Dune follows that same model exactly. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't have to be a white guy, and it doesn't have to.
Yeah, no, I fully agree
destroy
with that.
the dark people to ascend to his destiny. You know, that whole thing of destiny. I just gotta harp on it a little before. You know, this is a story that moviegoers are told all the time, is that the white boy is gonna rise to become the Messiah because it's his destiny. We know that story. We've seen it a zillion times. It informs how white people act in our world. So I'll just say they did nothing with that in Dune. They did a lot of stuff technically that was wonderful. They did exactly nothing to change or vary up that story at all.
Yeah, that's why I said for me, that's what makes it not a perfect film where I would give it a 10 out of 10. But I feel like I can't lie and say that it's a pretty great movie. So that's why for me it isn't, I would say, an 8 out of 10. But I really just wish that we could be in a place of where we are putting people in their stories where they should be. Like I said, it could have been Mina Massoud. Even though I know he's going to be playing Ezra in Ahsoka, even though they haven't confirmed it. I know
he's playing Ezra in the Ahsoka series?
Oh, yeah.
Is the movie? Oh, okay.
He definitely is. He's like, there's rumors that it's him, and then it's obvious. He's the only person I could see Disney being like, let's bring him back because we messed up with not. Because, you know, they were going to give a spin-off to that White Prince in the Aladdin movie and not give Minna his own show on Disney Plus. So, like, I feel like, yeah, they're saying, sorry, we messed up.
Okay, cool.
So you're going to play Star Wars character.
Okay.
So, yeah, I think so. I don't know if he was confirmed, but I feel like he will be.
Yeah. A little bit of typecasting there, because isn't Ezra also kind of like the young,
Aladdin?
beefy kind of
renegade? His character is literally... What if about Aladdin, but in Star Wars? Like, literally, that is Ezra's character.
All right.
So he's going to be playing a variation of Aladdin probably for his whole life.
Yeah, typecasting is a thing that happens in movie business. People, you be careful what part you get associated with, because people just like start plugging you in for that one. Although that's great. There are worse things to be than the snarky Aladdin type, renegade guy. But that's cool. Yeah, so yeah, we don't have to hype on the poor racial imaging all the time. What else stood out for you from Dune that was like a great movie moment?
I don't know. I loved it all. I really liked the stuff with, what are they called, Ben Gesserit, the ladies.
Oh yeah, the Ben Gesserit. Yeah,
they were cool. I liked the voice thing. That was pretty cool.
Yeah,
I really liked Jason Momoa in this movie a lot.
Yeah,
and he had a cool name, Duncan, Idaho. What a name.
American runs on Duncan.
Yes, I really liked him a lot in this film. I'm really, yeah. I wish we had more of him, but,
Yeah, looks like not. I couldn't remember, from reading the book, if that's exactly how he meets his end. But it was a great noble scene. Good final stand against those crazy Sardaukar.
Yeah, and everyone and their mother was, like, in this movie.
Yeah.
Because David, I don't know how to say his name, David Dashian.
Oh, yeah.
He was in it.
Is he the very... Wait. Is he the Mentat? Or...
He's one of the, like, bald guys. And then, like...
I totally forgot
The
that
guy
and
who
didn't
plays
recognize him.
the guy who plays Eric Selvig, what is their last name? Skarsgård. The Skarsgård dad.
Yeah, yeah.
He was in it.
Yes.
Oscar Isaac.
Yes.
Josh Brolin.
Yes.
Javier.
Javier Bardem was Stilgar.
Yeah, like I don't know.
Yeah.
Rebecca Ferguson.
He was pretty cool. I mean, a lot of the like weird feeling is a lot of stuff happens in the second half. I mean, Stilgar and the Furmen are this huge thing that we didn't even get to in the second act. So I'm sorry, just like based on the like few scenes with Javier Bardem, I was into his take on the character. He was sort of otherworldly and also a little bit dangerous.
Is it bad though that every time I see him, I associate him with Pirates of the Caribbean and him playing Captain Sullivan?
I don't know.
Every time I see him, that's all I think about, and him saying the line of like, "Tell Jack Sparrow that Captain Sullivan is coming" or something like that. I just always think of that every single time I see him. Like that's all I can think about.
Okay, that's fine. I think of the guy in No Country for Old Men, but yeah, we'll have.
I love his little bob in that movie.
Yeah, creepy as shit. Yeah, no, I'm not a huge Pirates of the Caribbean person.
I loved the first three, but then the last two were just, not it. But the first three, amazing. Some of the best work that Disney has ever done. I wish they could get back to doing films like that because, first three Pirates are just so good.
Well, they're going to reboot that one as well, are they not? Or...
Yeah, they're supposed to with Margot Robbie.
Oh, okay, right on. Mm-hmm. Sounds good in my head.
I just kind of hope they bring back Gore Verbinski because I love Gore Verbinski. He's probably one of my favorite directors.
Yeah. Haven't heard of him. I mean, haven't heard from him in a while. I remember.
And he did like I know he did the first Ring movie. I don't know if he did the other ones. Well,
yeah.
Yeah.
I like The Ring.
Support for Hard NOC Life is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in below-the-waist grooming and hygiene. Ladies, listen up. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for you and your man's jewels. For any women out there who have come across a hairy bush, you're in luck now. Manscaped, the best men's below-the-waist grooming, have just launched their 4th-generation trimmer, the Lawnmower 4.0. Yes, 4.0. Make sure your man joins the 2 million men in the world who already trusted Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you. 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code HARDNOC, HARDNOC, at manscaped.com.
Yeah, and it's kind of swag just having a trimmer just for your balls. It's cool. I mean, it feels like a flex. I feel more luxurious than I did before. And I really do like these Manscaped products. I'm not even looking at
like you said, you feel luxurious using it. Everyone should feel luxurious, grooming themselves in all parts of their body. And, your face and your nether regions are important parts. So take care of it. Do it. Don't just, like I said, don't do one and the same.
Don't cross the streams.
Don't cross the streams.
So you can join over 2 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you. You can get 20% off and free shipping worldwide with the code HARDNOC. That's HARDNOC at manscaped.com. Hard Knock being also the name of this podcast. And that's your code for getting 20% off from Manscaped.
Really? Your balls will thank you.
Thanks, Dick Tracy.
Oh, speaking of official Star Wars stuff regarding the Ahsoka show, it's officially confirmed that my boy Hayden Christensen is going to be reprising his role of Anakin Skywalker, which I am so excited. I just really love Hayden. I liked him ever since I saw Attack of the Clones when I was like 12 or 13 in the movie theater. I remember like, yes, I like him. And I don't know. I've always really liked him. And after seeing Attack of the Clones, I literally watched like his other movie he did. What was it called? House of something. The one where
Not House of Atreides.
No, not House of Atreides.
House of Glass?
House of Smoke and something. I don't know.
House of Smoke and Mirrors?
I don't know, but it's the one where he's like going through a lot of emotional stuff and he lives with his dad for a little bit, and it's a very, very sad and like depressing movie, but he's really good in it. So yeah, I've seen like a lot of his other stuff outside of Star Wars. I've always liked him. I've always been on the Hayden Christensen love train.
Okay.
So I know there's some people who are only now acting like they like him because they hate the sequels so much that they want to be like, oh, the prequels are amazing. They were always great. I'm like, I've been saying they were great from the get-go. Y'all are only saying that because you hate the sequels right now. Like, yeah, I don't know. That's how I feel that people are acting about their love now for the prequels.
Okay. And what did they say? Is he's coming back for the Obi-Wan series? Is that
yes,
what's happening?
So he's coming back for Obi-Wan, and then he's also going to be on Ahsoka. So they're kind of like milking the, oh, people love Hayden Christensen now trend.
Fascinating.
I've always loved him, so everyone just decided to hop on the bandwagon.
And I mean, again, this show is not all about looks, but what's he look like? Because the part of his whole thing was being this sort of boyish young, figure back in the sequels.
He still looks good.
I was wondering. I don't mean like, does he look good? He's like, how do we...
Well, he's 40 now.
Does he look grizzled and Sithy, or is he gonna be young of the period of the Revenge of the Sith period? Or
I'm sure they're gonna have flashbacks, and they're gonna add in additional like flashback stuff and have him and Obi, have some scenes. Probably recreate. Mm-hmm. I feel like they might take some scenes from like the show Clone Wars and do a couple of them like in live action and film them as flashbacks, just because I feel like they both could. It's not that hard, especially with the de-aging technology now. It's so easy, and Hayden hasn't aged that much, so I think they could easily like do some flashbacks, even with Ahsoka and Anakin. I feel like we're gonna see some of that too.
Okay,
but I think obviously he's also gonna be in the like Darth Vader like get up too.
Yeah, at some point. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. Because,
like, the Obi-Wan Kenobi show takes place in between A New Hope and Revenge of the Sith.
Okay.
And then Ahsoka is going to take place a little bit before we meet up with her in Mandalorian Season 2, and then after. And so there's probably going to be flashbacks to, all the Clone Wars era stuff.
So neither of those directly in that big Clone Wars period before Episode 3, but maybe flashbacks to them.
Maybe flashbacks.
I haven't read all this stuff, but okay.
You haven't seen the Clone Wars?
No, I mean I haven't read the news saying where things are in the timeline. I was wondering if it was going to be in that big Clone Wars chunk, or you're saying it's after Episode 3.
Yeah, it's after both of them, or after Episode 3, but I'm sure there's going to be like flashbacks to, during Episode 3, because remember, Clone Wars takes place in between Attack of the Clones and
2 and 3, right?
Yeah, it takes place in between 2 and 3, so
okay,
yeah,
that makes total sense.
Yes,
and it's this big massive chunk of stuff happening.
Yeah, and then
I always felt like I never quite got the chunk of stuff that happened between 3 and 4.
What do you call it? Also takes place between 3 and 4, technically. Rebels.
Oh, okay.
Or no, Rebels takes place maybe right in the middle of 4, like right before. I think Rebels takes place right before like the events of 4, if that makes sense.
I don't know. I haven't watched all the animated series. They're not on the tip of my tongue.
Because I feel like Ezra and Luke are probably like close in age.
Okay.
I think so. I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure they're close in age. I don't know, but I'm excited for all the live action shows coming out. And speaking of Hawkeye, I don't know if we talked about it last time, has an official release date. It's going to be November 24th, so a month from now.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty excited about that. What
do you think? Me too. I think it's going to be fun. And you know what? I was really, like, before seeing any footage of it, I was like, I'm not going to like this because I don't like Jeremy Renner.
Oh, okay.
And I don't really care for his Hawkeye. But the show looks really fun. I'm not going to lie. Like, the show looks so much fun. And I hate that Marvel always, like, gets me in because there's everything that I'm like, not about it, but,
Yeah, is there anyone that you've skipped that you could be like, I really had a heebie-jeebie feeling from? I mean, me neither. I've skipped none of them.
I've seen them all. There's some, obviously, that I don't really care. The only 2 that I refuse to, like, never watch again is Thor Dark World and The Incredible Hulk. Like, those are the 2 that I just refuse to watch again because I just don't like them at all. Black Widow was not the best, but I think Florence Pugh performance saves that movie, where I would watch it again just to watch Florence Pugh again.
Yeah.
Not because I care about anyone else really in it. No, well, Rachel and David were good, but I don't really care for, what's her name. So
Okay.
But I will give her flowers. I loved her in Jojo Rabbit, so I don't want people to think that, like, I'm incapable of giving people their flowers when it's due. So
Yes, Jojo Rabbit was excellent. Yeah, I pretty much like Black Widow, and it's gonna connect to Hawkeye in some substantial way.
yeah.
One thing I'm really just gonna enjoy is not so many fucking powers. I'm sorry to sound like I know this is like a reversal, but I'm a little tired of keeping track of all the cosmic powers, Infinity Gems, and stuff.
Mhm.
I like that idea that they'll just going out, fighting some mafia dudes with arrows. And honestly, that's one of the things I like about Black Widows. It was very down on the ground, just
Mhm.
people fighting each other with like guns. Like, okay, we get that. There wasn't a mythology like Infinity part to keep track of.
Yes.
And it looks like Hawkeye will be very like grounded like that in New York
Mhm.
City during like a real time of year, Christmas, that like humans really recognize.
Yeah. And Eternals, I know that there's some reviews coming out, and a lot of the reviews have been very mixed. So I'm still excited for the movie, and I know there's people already complaining because there's been a confirmed sex scene in Eternals.
Okay.
Yes. And there's some people
Please
who are...
say more.
So, Chloe had confirmed that there is a sex scene. I don't know which characters, but she's like, it's nice. It's beautiful when two people are in love and they're like not just showing it emotionally and like intellectually, but physically as well. So she's like, it's a very, very beautiful scene and stuff like that. So that's what she commented on. And now there's people who are like, I don't want sex scenes in the MCU, or sex scenes don't belong in movies. And I'm sorry, but like, I feel like some movies it's okay if there's sex scenes in them. I don't know. And then especially when you're focusing on characters who are adults.
Yeah.
Like,
or 5,000-year-old people even.
Yes.
Really, really old adults.
Really old adults. Like, I'm sorry, but like,
I mean, come on. We haven't had any sex scenes up in this Marvel thing since the Netflix series. I missed them.
Yeah, and then
gotta have something.
And then like, I think Iron Man is the first Iron Man movie is the only movie in the MCU that has like a sex scene or alludes alludes to it fully. They try to like almost go there in Avengers Age of Ultron, but it doesn't happen because obviously like we know why. Like he's like, I don't know, I might turn to the Hulk.
Yeah.
So
yeah, they're pretty definitively not doing sex scenes after the Tony Stark's one hookup.
Yeah,
as far as my memory goes.
And I'm not saying like, oh, let's just throw in pointless sex scenes for whatever. But so many movies I feel like today have lost like a sense of like sensuality to them. Like when you go back and watch like, other movies, like movies don't feel like this anymore. Some of them, so I think it's okay.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's have,
bring sexy back. It's
have
okay.
Some sensuality in these things. have these people be like sensual, living, breathing characters. Yeah,
and I don't know. There's nothing wrong with it, and I feel like we're going too far into purity stuff, which is just
I mean, especially when you think about it in like the frame of like, again, we don't really know the Eternals characters that well, so we can't even make up crazy guesses. Like if it was the next Avengers movie and we were guessing like, Mark Ruffalo's gonna have sex with Chris Hemsworth or something, or Star-Lord's gonna have sex with Thor or something, that would be an incredibly fun and weird guessing game, right?
Yeah.
But that doesn't apply to this case because the Eternals characters are sort of like unknown quantities. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm just saying that's not like the same level of scandal. I don't think it'll probably help humanize them. But yeah, I reserved a little private theater so you'd see Eternals on an opening weekend. Do you have a Eternals viewing plan?
I'm not sure yet because I do work where I can like go see it either. I know I work where I can like see it either the Friday night or the Thursday night, I think, if I had to double check my schedule, but I know it works where I can go see it one of those days. So I don't know. I'm gonna try to see it as soon as possible.
Okay.
Yeah. And I kind of want to see Dune in the theaters too, just because I really enjoyed it.
I'm sure it's great. I'm sure the sound is way much better.
I'm like, I think I want to go see it in the theaters too.
But I bet the sound is so nice, like you might want to take a little nap somewhere. I bet it's like very hypnotic and lulling. This is just my guess.
Probably.
And so, okay, so
But to connect Dune to Eternals for just 1 minute, I'm also excited about Eternals, and we talk a lot about representation on this show, and it's just one of those cases of the Eternals is also based on old myths, really old myths, god myths that everyone around the world knows, templates like the hero's journey, like Dune and Star Wars are based on. In some cases, those stories are white savior stories because they just have been for thousands of years. You can come at these things from a different perspective and form a cast that looks like the cast of the Eternals and put them forefront in advertising. So people, even who don't know a lot about the story of the movie, they know that this is a cast that just looks like the population of the Earth.
Yeah, and there is still white people in the movie.
Yeah, because that's what Earth looks like. There's some Asian people, there's some white people, there's some brown people, there's some black people.
And we also have a deaf actress, Lauren Riddoff, is that her name?
Yeah.
She is playing...
Mercury.
She's playing Mercury,
which might
right?
be said a slightly different way, but it's based on the god Mercury.
Yeah, and I mean, it's very cool that we have, like, I feel like, there's someone for almost maybe everyone to connect to in this film, just because we have so many different people being represented. Or at least touches the surface of getting close to there is someone for everyone, It's much better than at least... Yeah.
I'm just saying it opens up the possibilities when you do progressive casting, and it also makes a very, very old template. It just gives it new possibilities. And we don't know because we haven't seen it yet, but I mean, it has good signs. And I think Eternals might be the divisive one for people. I think it might be the opinion-changing one. I have this feeling it might be so weird for some people that it might throw them off the Marvel train. I mean, because you're just saying we pretty much go in for the Marvel thing, whatever, eventually. I wonder if the Eternals will break a few people.
It might. I think it might be too weird and they're not gonna like it. I heard this film is very exposition heavy, so I know some people might not like that, which some people complained about Dune being too exposition heavy, and they're like, they wanted more action. So I don't know, I feel like with Eternals and both Dune, since they are part ones of, these stories, and they are introducing these characters to you, even if, regardless if you've read the actual source material or seen the original, Dune movie, whatever, both Eternals and Dune are this is technically a new set of people you're being introduced to.
Yeah.
And so and it has to do the world building and all the, setting blocks and all of that. So I think, yeah, of course, you should expect the first movies to be more exposition heavy and more world building stuff before you get to all the let's just do crazy shit.
Yeah, before the blowing up some dragons.
Yes. I don't know, I'm excited though for Eternals, just because one, I really love Richard Madden, and then I think that it's a very nice, like we've said, it's diverse, and it really does look like how the world looks like today, and they're all the heroes, so I'm hoping none of them die. I don't know.
One of them's gonna die.
Don't do that to me.
They're good. I like this period of not knowing, so I just get to say any bullshit. Yes. There's some sex. One of them is gonna die, and I think there's a karaoke scene too, which is consistent among the recent Marvel movies. I'm all into that.
Look, someone's gonna hate me for this, but if Kit Harington dies, I'm okay with it. I just don't want Richard Madden. If one of the white guys gotta die, it's gotta be Kit. I'm sorry. Alright,
so you're saying Black Knight and not Icarus buys it. Maybe.
Just because I like Richard Madden more than I like Kit Harington. Yeah. I'm still mad that I know that's how it was in the books, but I'm still mad that Robb Stark died and not Jon Snow.
What if he's literally eaten by one of the dragon things? Is that too close to the other series?
No, because
I mean, I know he wasn't killed by a dragon.
No, he was stabbed.
But he was killed in the world that had dragons.
Yeah, but I don't know. I just want Richard Madden to survive over Kit Harington. Sorry. Yeah. Just anyone who loves Kit more than they like Richard Madden.
No, I'm with you on that. And also, I mean, and again, if you know the characters, it would take a lot to get rid of Icarus. That dude is powerful. Black Knight is just a guy with some armor.
He's like Superman.
It is pretty likely
It was actually weird in the comics that Black Knight was with the Avengers for so long because he really didn't contribute much. I'm sorry. He had weighty armor, which is like ridiculous to be like flying around in, like when you're, and basically he had a magic sword. I mean, nothing against characters that the big thing is a magic sword, katana, all Jedi. It's fine if your main thing is a magic sword, but yeah, and it's how Black Knight makes himself useful in this narrative. Anyway, anything else you'd like to touch on before we wrap up?
I don't have anything else, and my nerd poppin' thing was basically Hayden Christensen, getting the love that he deserves, because I have loved him and cherished him as Anakin for so long that it's nice to see people finally be on board, but I hate that some people are only on board to like basically be like, fuck the sequels. That's my thing. That's the only reason why I'm just like, y'all fake. Because so many people have hated Hayden for years and made fun of him, and we're just like saying that I didn't know anything about Star Wars, even though I grew up with the originals too. Like, well, I mean, I don't know.
I hear that.
I'm not a fan.
And I'm another school. I'm not on board with it because I just didn't like Hayden Christensen, and then I forgot about him. But so I can just say why. I mean, without getting into a big discussion about it. No, I'm not. I don't
okay,
mean.
You can tell me.
I was gonna say why. What I want is like, I want you to elaborate on the Hayden Christensen thing. Says you say you love that Hayden Christensen is coming back. I don't really care about it. I just ask why.
Why? Because he's great. I genuinely think he's great. Like, I love him. Anakin is literally my favorite Star Wars character. Before I saw, like, Attack of the Clones, my favorite Star Wars character was Han Solo. So, I don't know. I just I guess I like more the bad boy character, regardless of how far down the bad boy route he goes. So, like, okay, Han Solo was my favorite. And then, here's the thing. When I saw The Phantom Menace, though, I was like, ooh, maybe I like Obi-Wan Kenobi. And then I saw Attack of the Clones, and I was like, no, I like Anakin.
He got better.
And then Revenge of the Sith just sealed it. I like sad emo sad emo boys who cry. So, and then I love Star Wars, so it's just like, what a perfect dark prince, tragic hero character Anakin is. I love it.
Okay.
Wonderful.
Brittany speaks her truth about Hayden Christensen. Would you like to speak more of your truth about Hayden Christensen? I'm just offering that spotlight.
Yeah, I've also seen his other movie called Shattered Glass, the one where he plays a journalist who lies about all this stupid stuff that never actually happened, and so good. He's in this other movie that me and my mom happened to randomly watch the other day where Bruce Willis is a bad guy, and like Hayden Christensen is like taking Bruce Willis down, and he wins. Against Bruce Willis, but I was like, of course he's going against Darth Vader. Like, of course Darth Vader's gonna win.
I like that. Yeah. Okay.
But I can't remember the name of the movie, but it was really good, and I need to look it up on his IMDb because I came in the middle of the movie, and my mom had already been watching it. So yeah, I have to watch it again. But I know my mom said she hated him in the Star Wars movies because his voice. So. There's some people who don't like his speaking voice, which I understand because I can't stand
that's
Edward Norton's speaking voice.
Where we differ, I do like Ed Norton's speaking voice, but it rubs you the wrong way.
He sounds like, especially now, like his voice doesn't match how he looks now. Like, it sounds like someone decided to have a teenager dub over his voice, but it's his actual
voice. Well, he did. That's the superpower.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it sounds like...
I'm kidding.
I don't know. Like, he just sounds like a teenager to me.
And Hayden Christensen doesn't?
I
mean, if it's going to be a face-off of Hayden Christensen's voice
I don't know what he sounds like now.
Voice, you never know. I'll be on North's one for that one.
I don't know. Hayden Christensen sounds like he would sing in an emo band and
probably.
Sing about how much he hates his hometown.
Cool.
And that's all I listen to.
Gracious. Okay. Well, I have a little bit of a psychic feeling that I bet some really huge nerdy news is going to drop really soon right after we close. I just have this feeling.
It always happens. Anytime we either record without Keith or we record early
strong,
or something.
Clear topic. Something presents itself right after. So we might have to reconnect. I don't know. This is just an idea. It might not Who knows? We'll see. But for this exact moment, that's Hard NOC Life for today. So would you like to tell people how they can find you on the internet?
I'm sorry. First of all, this turned into a
It's a good topic
episode.
And we'll be seeing more of him soon, so it's good to have a refresher.
Yeah, so you guys are going to probably hear how much more, especially with the more stuff coming out. But you can follow me at Hi Brittany Monet on Twitter and Instagram, and then you can follow at Naomi Podcast for my other podcast adventures and more in the DC world than Marvel. But yeah, that's where you can find me.
Okay, cool. I'm Dominic Ma. I'm at Dama, DOMMAH on Instagram or Twitter. I also have a YouTube channel at melancholyball.com. And I think that'll be Hard NOC Life for this week, pending other big developments. And I'm not even going to do the whole credits thing because I don't even care that much. But Nerds of Color is a blog and a YouTube channel and a bunch of podcasts. So just traffic that. We're very happy to have you. TheNerdsOfColor.org. And cool. Any closing thoughts to take us out?
No. I couldn't think of anything
that's
fast
okay.
enough.
My brain is all fuzzy because of this rainy weather. I think it's
throwing you off.
A little, yeah.